Every year, roughly 40 million Americans change their address. And according to the latest census data released in January 2026, at least a few 100,000 of them are running from the same 7 states like the building is on fire. California alone lost 229,077 residents in a single year, and that was actually an improvement over the year before. New York bled out 137,586. And one state on this list has been the #1 exodus state in America for 8 consecutive years, and it is not the one you are thinking of. If you are in one of these states and you do not know it, you are watching your cost of living climb, your tax base shrink, and your neighbors quietly load a U-Haul while you wonder why traffic is suddenly better. Subscribe if you like knowing things before they cost you. Let's break it down. Number 7. California. Yes, California is on this list. The fact that it is only number 7 should tell you how bad the rest of this countdown gets. The Golden State has bled 1.2 million residents to other states since 2020, according to the Census Bureau. That is not a typo. That is the population of Dallas, just gone. The median home price is $833,000, more than double the national average. The top state income tax rate is 13.3%. The highest in the country. And since 2018, 441 companies have relocated their headquarters out of state, including Tesla, Oracle, Chevron, and Charles Schwab. San Francisco alone lost 156 corporate headquarters. The state swung from a $97 billion budget surplus to a projected $68 billion deficit in 3 years. In and out. President Lindsay Snyder captured the mood when she moved her family to Tennessee, saying doing business and raising a family just are not easy in California anymore. And if you think losing 1 million people and $100 billion sounds rough, the next state lost something worse: its future workforce. Number 6. Ohio. Ohio doesn't make most migration lists, which is exactly why it's here. In a single year, Ohio plunged 29 positions on the U-Haul Growth Index, dropping from number 14 all the way to number 43. That's not a slide, that's a free fall. The state quietly crossed a tipping point. More one-way U-Haul trucks are now leaving Ohio than arriving, and the trend accelerated faster than any other state in the country. While California and New York dominate the headlines, Ohio represents something more alarming. The outbound contagion is spreading to states nobody was watching. The cost of living is low, sure, but cost of living doesn't matter much when the jobs, the young people, and the tax base are all heading for the exits at the same time. And if a state you've never worried about can collapse that fast on the index, imagine what's happening in a state where a starter home costs $1 million. Would you stay in a state that dropped 29 spots in 1 year, or is that your signal to start packing? Drop it in the comments. Number 5. Massachusetts. Massachusetts has always been expensive. But expensive and unlivable are two different things, and the Bay State is flirting with the wrong side of that line. The median home price in the Boston metro area now exceeds $1.04 million. Housing costs run more than double the national average. A single adult needs approximately $120,141 a year just to live comfortably. Then came the millionaire's tax. In 2022, voters approved a 4% surcharge on income above $1 million, pushing the top tax rate to 9%. The state lost 33,340 residents to domestic migration from 2024 to 2025 and hemorrhaged 148,905 college-educated adults in one measured year. That's the second worst brain drain in America, right behind California. A state built on universities and innovation is now exporting its most educated residents to states that will not tax them into a studio apartment. That's not a policy failure, that's an identity crisis. But at least Massachusetts has seasons. The next state charges you triple for sunshine. Number 4. Hawaii. Hawaii is the most expensive state in America, and it is not close. The cost of living index runs between 182 and 193, nearly double the national average. Housing costs are 3 times higher than the rest of the country. The ratio of home prices to income sits at 8.8, the worst in the nation. Groceries cost 50% more because virtually everything has to be shipped in by boat. Monthly electricity bills average $529, the highest in the country. A single adult needs $124,467 per year just to get by. Hawaii lost the greatest share of its population to domestic migration in 2024, and it was one of only 5 states whose total population actually shrank in 2025. People leave paradise when it charges admission every single day. One local posted online that living in Hawaii means choosing between saving for the future or enjoying the present. And the ocean views do not pay your electric bill. And if an island state bleeding resident sounds like a geography problem, the next state proves it is a policy problem because it is right in the middle of the country with nowhere to blame but Springfield. If you lived in paradise but could not save a dime, would you stay for the sunsets or leave for a future? Let me know. Number 3. Illinois. Illinois ranks number 49 on the U-Haul Growth Index, which means out of all 50 states, only one is worse at keeping its residents. The state lost 40,017 people to domestic migration from 2024 to 2025, and it has lost a cumulative 418,056 since 2020. The quiet assassin is property taxes. Illinois has the highest effective property tax rate in the nation, $17.93 per $1,000 of home value. Your house could be worth $250,000 and your annual tax bill would still rival a car payment. A poll by NPR Illinois found that 61% of residents have thought about leaving, with taxes cited as the number one reason. A separate poll found 51% of voters said they would leave if they could. More than half the state wants out. The brain drain is relentless. Illinois loses a net 54,000 college-educated adults per year, a pattern that has persisted since 2015. The only reason the state's population has not collapsed entirely is that 112,955 international migrants arrived in a single year, many bused from Texas to Chicago. The state is not growing, it is being backfilled. When your state government's population strategy depends on another state's governor putting people on buses, your state government does not have a strategy. It has a coincidence. And if Illinois makes you nervous, the next state will make your wallet physically hurt. Number 2. New York. New York has lost 966,209 residents to other states since April 2020. Let that number sit for a second. Nearly 1 million people looked at New York and decided anywhere else was better. The average rent for a 2-bedroom apartment in New York City is $5,874 per month. A 3-bedroom tops $8,300, making it the most expensive rental market on earth. The state's top income tax rate is 10.9%, and New York City layers on an additional 3.876% for the privilege of paying those rents. A family of 4 needs $110,255 per year just to meet a basic living wage. New York carries the highest individual income tax burden in the nation at 5.8% of residents' income. Nassau and Suffolk counties on Long Island recorded 78% outbound migration in the United Van Lines data, among the worst metro-level rates anywhere. The 137,586 who left from 2024 to 2025 actually represents a worsening over the prior year. The exits are not slowing, they are accelerating. A former New Yorker summed it up online by saying they did not leave because they stopped loving the city. They left because the city stopped being affordable enough to love. And if New York losing nearly 1 million people in 5 years sounds like the worst it could get, the number 1 state on this list has been doing something even more remarkable. It has been the single worst state for outbound migration in America for 8 years running, and almost nobody talks about it. Number 1. New Jersey. New Jersey has been the number 1 outbound state on the United Van Lines National Movers Study for 8 consecutive years. Not 3, not 5, 8. That's a dynasty of departure, and it has earned every single year of it. In 2025, 62.3% of all professional household moves involving New Jersey were people leaving. The state lost 37,428 residents to domestic migration, according to census data, and it ranks number 48 on the U-Haul Growth Index. The median annual property tax bill in New Jersey is $9,541, the highest in the nation. Combine that with a top income tax rate of 10.75%, and you have a state that taxes you coming, going, and standing still. More than 40% of outbound movers are aged 65 and older, and 1 in 5 departing residents head straight to Florida. Here is the part that should concern everyone who stays. When the people leaving are disproportionately the ones who have paid into the system the longest, the tax base does not just shrink, it collapses from the top. Property tax revenue depends on property values, and property values depend on demand. When demand falls, the math gets ugly for everyone still holding a mortgage. New Jersey's politicians talk about affordability initiatives. Meanwhile, the moving trucks keep rolling south on the turnpike year after year after year. If your state has been number 1 in outbound migration for 8 straight years, is it still a policy failure, or is it just the policy? Drop your take in the comments. You just heard about 7 states where moving trucks outnumber welcome wagons, and the data comes from 3 independent sources that all agree on the same ugly conclusion. If you are planning a move, choosing wrong is not just stressful, it is expensive. Subscribe so you see this before your real estate agent conveniently forgets to mention it. And if you are already living in one of these states, well, at least now you know why traffic has been getting lighter.